their own success and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, that happens everywhere. That's the way.
Jocelyn, I guess you've dealt with a lot of these issues just on the forefront of it, being a promoter and then also working with this, now being directly involved with the city in terms of how the city handles live music. What kind of corollaries do you see between what's going on in the film and what's going on in Austin and what's happening in San Francisco?
Well, I want to say first that it was a really amazing movie. I was really impressed. It covered a lot more than I think we're talking about up here as well, and I think the issues around being a musician and struggling with your art and commercialism and what is success is also really interesting, and sadly we can't talk about that tonight. But yeah, I mean, San Francisco has certainly had its problems, and I think there's an evolution to everything. And I've been working with some of those people in the movie quite a bit. I actually know Rich Bailey and those folks, and they actually, out of that task force, did come something. They hired somebody. Remember that big guy who was like, "I'm funky"? Yeah. They hired him. He works for the city now.
You're kidding. I didn't know that.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, he actually founded the Continental Club,
Right.
or Armadillo World Headquarters,
Right.
as it was called.
And so they created a position, but Austin, for us in San Francisco, is very much in terms of government, a model that we like to follow. In addition, a ham, you guys have health care for musicians. So that's also something we'd really like to do here. The creative industries is actually something in government. So San Francisco, we've got this thing called an entertainment commission where we're really just a regulatory, we're the people who permit everything until it's dead in the water. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a danger.
We struggled through some of this stuff, and San Francisco continues to build more and more, and the rich get richer, and the musicians go to Oakland. And we continue to have this problem, but we're trying to recognize it, and these conversations we're having here, and trying to get involved with government officials as well, not just to have hearings and bitch about it, but actually elect people who give a crap and are going to stop making it harder and harder to do, the things that you do and you've talked about doing, and so we're working together, and I love the people who work for the city of Austin, and you guys actually in the state of Texas have a music office. That's pretty amazing. If California had an office of music, we'd be doing much better as well. So as much as you feel like maybe there isn't a lot of infrastructure or something, and it's a bunch of sell job of, it's the live music capital of the world, appreciate it, because you're actually doing very well.
Yeah, and actually one of the things that I noticed, kind of the theme that runs through the film, and I mean, I'm sure that this is something that every artist struggles with in one way or another for eternity, is there seems to be a dichotomy, like this split between maintaining pure art and being a genuine artist, which Bill, just listening to your music and kind of how you approach it, it seems like you have a really true artistic sense outside of commercial concerns. Like art comes first. But at the same time, when you start dealing with these larger cultural shifts of building condos and housing needs that come into downtown, and how, if you want to be near the city center, it's going to mean an expensive condo, and how each city and also each artist deals with how do you not become a victim of your own success? How can you take a healthy artistic community and make money off of it without sacrificing the depth of your art? And that seemed to be a theme that ran through the film. And I just wonder, Nathan, if you could talk about that a little bit, if that's, what is what you were trying to say with the film, and kind of how maybe that plays with the bigger issue of Austin maintaining itself as a scene, as a city, from a very almost boring government perspective.
Yeah, it was difficult to interrelate the stories of the artists we were covering with the overall kind of personality crisis that's happening in Austin. So we left certain things open-ended. I mean, we didn't want to put a stamp on it at the end. We wanted everyone to come at it with their own perspective. So I guess my perspective is somewhere in the middle of all of it, because I understand when the developer says, you know, it's very fashionable to carp about how a city's being ruined. You know, he's an artist in his own right. Well, with this film, I mean, we basically had some really incredible people who believed in us from the beginning, and we just piecemealed the investment together. So we did it completely outside of the studio system. We did it all on our own. Nick Gianni is one of the producers. He's filming it right now. And we've been broadcasting the tour. You know, we're just basically like packing it in the suitcase and hitting the road. And that's how it's been from the beginning. So it's hard for me to have like a highfalutin idea about how it should be. It's just how it was. And so indie in many ways means like having carte blanche on a project, and it's like learning to collaborate. You know, so someone that's not six times removed from the actual ground level project isn't calling the shots, and that didn't happen with this. So we could put everything in there. The only time we were questioned by like the producers was when it was like, do you like, I like the earlier cut. You know, it's just like questions like collaboration like that. We were able to like sustain ourselves off of it, but barely. I mean, there were months that we weren't getting paid. We didn't know if we were gonna be able to make rent, all that kind of stuff. So indie, I hate the word indie in that way. You know, I mean, it's like it's not very romantic when you're in it all the time. So I don't have an answer. It's just this is my experience with making this film, and it was like once we hit a certain momentum, 5 months into it, I was like, well, we just can't stop now. The story's there. We have to like fight to get it done. So the ownership of the project started building. The more people that became involved with it too.